All right, the next part that I want to do is the bed. I'm going to bring it in. Whenever I bring the bed in, though, there's going to be some work that needs done before I actually assemble it to the passenger section. So let me roll this thing. Let me rotate it. I'm going to rotate X, rotate X, rotate X, and now we're good. Okay. Now, what I want to do is hit escape. I want to put the one block socket in here, and then I have to put the connector in here as well. So we have a lot of work to do on this one. So I'm going to place another one block socket in here and make sure the orientation's accurate. And yes, it is. Hit escape. Let's go ahead and constrain that before we continue. Put our 3 constraints on. Let me grab this surface here to this surface, hit apply, and grab this surface here, this surface, hit apply. Do a flush at the end here, there to there, hit apply. All right, I'll hit my home view just to reset. Now I'm ready to bring in the connector, and that's the hard one. The connector is the hard one, and the reason why it's a difficult one is because the surfaces are curved. They have fillets. I believe it causes an issue whenever you're trying to do your constraining when you have these curved surfaces. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to constrain the planes here, these origin planes once again. So I'm going to try mate, even though that may not work. You know what? I'm going to go to flush right off the bat and see if this works out better. So let's go to flush and flush, and it does keep it in the correct orientation. Hit apply, and now I'm going to go to flush, flush, and that does work. Everything's good there. So let me stick with flush. I'm going to go flush with this surface here and this surface here. Hit apply. We're good to go. The connector's in place. Now, assembling the bed to the passenger section is generally pretty easy. Let's see if it's easy for us here. So we're going to go ahead and constrain, flush. I like to start off with the bottom. Flush the bottoms, hit apply, and then flush the sides. Hit apply. Now, you might think you're done, but there's still one more constraint. So I'm going to escape out of constraint. I'm going to drag this bed back, and notice it moves back. It shouldn't move back if it was properly constrained. I'm going to put that third constraint on, and that third constraint is going to be a mate. I'm going to mate this surface to this surface. Hit apply and hit my home view, and there we go. We have the sockets installed. We have the connectors installed. You wouldn't know that, but they're in there. We can look at our browser and we can see the parts that are in there. Okay. Now, I have a few more things to assemble, and then we'll have a T9 truck assembled. All right, the next part that we're going to bring in will be the axles. So I'm going to go ahead and find the axle. Now, we need 4 of them. And I'm going to take a look and see how the orientation is. It looks like they are oriented to be on the passenger side. So I'm going to place one here in the rear and one in the front. And whenever I come to the driver's side, I'm going to right click. I'm going to rotate Y, right click, rotate Y. And it's in the correct orientation now. So I'll click it in, drop it in, and drop that one in. So I have 4. Right click, hit OK, or hit escape. All right, now I got 4 axles in. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my constraints on, but watch these constraints. I'm going to do a mate, and I'm going to mate the axis. I'm going to get this axis here, axis line. I'm going to mate to that axis line. Okay, hit apply. And I'm going to cancel out of that constraint so I can drag this out. Take a look at this, see how this spins. We actually don't want it to spin. We want the wheel to spin. We don't want the axle to spin. So I'll show you the special constraint that we need for that. Now, the next constraint that I'll put on is I'm going to do a mate constraint. I'm going to mate this inside surface to the wooden front. Okay. Now I hit apply. Now this next constraint, so notice I could take and grab the part here and it will spin on us. I can take and grab that and it'll spin. We don't want it to do that. So what I'm going to do, as I've done before, I'm going to make an origin plane visible, and I'm going to do the XZ plane in this case. I'm going to make it visible, right click, turn the visibility on. And then I'm going to go back to constraint, but I'm going to do a special constraint this time, so pay attention. I'm going to go to angle. I'm going to do an angle constraint. And the angle is just going to be 0 because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this surface right here, I'm going to do actually a directed angle and still at 0. I'm going to put this surface right here and the bottom surface. I'm going to make it 0 degree. So it'll be parallel basically. It's more intuitive, I think, to have a parallel constraint, but that's how we're going to do it. We're going to put a 0 angle between those two planes. Hit apply. And when I cancel out of that, I cannot move it. It's fixed. Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing to the other 3. Spin this around. Real quick. Try to do a mate constraint. I'm going to make the axis first. Hit apply. Drag it out. I'm going to go to constrain and do a mate constraint. This surface here to this surface. Hit apply. Now I'm going to do an angle constraint. And notice that visible plane that we'll use, do a directed angle, 0 angle from that surface, and it'll line it up just perfect. Hit apply. Okay, so we got two front axles in. Let me do the rear. All right, so let's zoom in here and let's go back to our mate constraint type, and we're going to mate the axis to axis. Hit apply. I'm going to cancel that so I can drag this out. Go back into constraint, do mate. We're going to mate this surface to this surface. Hit apply. Go into angle, do directed angle, this first one. Choose that plane, that origin plane. 0 angle to the bottom. Hit apply. Got one more to go. And go back to my mate constraint, do my axis here. Hit apply. Cancel out so I can drag this back out. Go back into constrain. Make sure I'm on mate. I'm going to mate that surface to that surface and hit apply. Go back to angle, directed angle. Choose that and that and hit apply. Choose my home view, hit cancel, and you have your axles all fully constrained. All right, the next thing I'm going to bring in will be the wheels. Go to place. I'm going to choose the wheel. Open that up, and I'm going to take a look and see what the orientation is. It looks like it's for the passenger side. So I'm going to place one on the front passenger and then on the rear. I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to rotate the Y twice, right click and rotate. Click it in there, click it in here. Okay, hit escape whenever we get all four wheels in. Now I'm going to do my constraints. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to constrain to the axis, constrain to the axis, and I just wonder if this will make it easier if I could, I need to hit apply, make sure you hit apply. But what I was going to do is stick with that, but let's just do one at a time. All right, so let me cancel out of here, drag this out, and I'm going to go to constrain, and I'm going to do a mate. But watch what I do. I'm going to mate this surface to this surface for the axle. Hit apply. And this one here, we only need 2 constraints because when we're done, we do want the wheel to spin. That is completely okay to have the wheel to spin. All right. So we only need 2 constraints on each wheel. All right. So let me do this one. Let's go to constrain, mate. We're going to mate the axis. Apply. Cancel that out. Drag that out so that I can go in and more easily pick it. Do mate. I'm going to mate that surface. Now the key to doing these constraints here is making sure you have the correct surface selected. Apply. We should be good there. Let's do the rear. Grab that axis, hit apply, cancel out, drag that out of the way so we can get in there, go back to constrain, spin this around, zoom in, make sure I choose that surface, and that surface, hit apply. I'm ready to do my last one here. I chose the wrong thing, so I'm going to get out of that, go back in it, choose the axis here, choose that axis, hit apply, cancel out, drag that out, go to constrain, and let's do that surface to that surface, hit apply, cancel out, go back to my home view, and there we go. We got all the wheels in place. Now we need the tires.